Now, commercial drivers in the Fidiase in the Ashanti region embarked on a two-day industrial action to protest the high prices of fuel in their operations. All vehicles were grounded at the bus terminals by the drivers, leaving commuters stranded. Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom put a spotlight on the action.
Here at the Fidiase station, drivers have refused to move their vehicles due to the high increase of fuel and diesel prices. They are complaining that the increment in fuel and diesel prices is really affecting them.
The
reason for our demonstration today is because of the fuel price increment. We are not able to accrue our profit after long hours of work. This is the reason why we have increased the price of fares. The BC has spoken to us. The petrol price increment is unreasonable to us. Every time we go to the pump station, we are made to pay extra cash. Until government intervenes, we are not working in the next 3 days.
We spoke to the District Chief Executive Officer of Secretary East, Mr. Osei Edia.
Niyakosu nyina no eye enano kwasiada ye mampani na nakufo adohia oman se one ye kasa o kasamfoni so no o kan se on kase oman mu nyedin oman mu odin na ginabra ye gina no so ye ginabra bia ehon so oto enti wode cheopa mamanfo sa cheopa na.
Like the president said in his address, the country is in crisis. We would plead with drivers to deploy more diplomatic ways to solving issues.
Mr. Obia kasa ojina ne opeso agine opa o man jina breninye ti misre ni die kwaso obia mrefom na bibie ehia no yemfa ya no enka asemie ni wa ede sekaya na akuma na etwa.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom.
Well, joining us on this is the GPRT. The GPRT has been speaking on this matter and have been speaking about whether or not they are going to increase their fares, but they say that they won't spare Ghanaians this time.
The OMCs, me, I'm seeing it like the government is not been able to even control the OMCs. They are coming out with their prices, okay, and even go to the spare parts market. They are also doing their own things. We are not saying because of these things, we are also doing our own things. But this is our business that we are running. Can we continue to work and lose all the time? Can we continue to do this work and every day you see a driver, going home with empty-handed? Are you getting it? So all these things is happening because the government is not living up to expectation. The promises that is being given to the drivers, are not coming. Now, drivers are suffering. That is why all these things are happening like that. So this is not a fault or this is not something that someone may, put the blame on drivers. This is a business we are also running. In fact, it's rather unfortunate. The other time I met a driver and he was even saying, he has even regretted being a commercial driver. Why is he saying so? Because, a driver will work and he will not get anything. Are you getting it? So, Ben, I know the situation now is getting out of hands, but I believe passengers has to also to understand the drivers, the situation in which the drivers are in now.
So is this arbitrariness going to continue? Basically, what I'm saying is, let's assume this week or next week, prices go up a little. Let's say diesel goes to about 24 cedis or 25. And we're not hoping for that, but I'm just projecting hypothetically. And let's say maybe fuel also goes up, I mean petrol or something, is that to mean we should expect fuel price increments as these transport fare increments, as the fuel price increments occur? Is that where we are now?
Ben, I think now the transporters are also coming up with this automatic adjustment system.
Automatic adjustment system, I see.
Formula. Ben, now fuel prices goes up every day and every day. You know, when we had our 20% fare increment way back in May, all right, we sat down the next month that was June, July, the fuel price went up again. We were supposed to come up with an increment. We didn't do that, thinking that the fuel price will come down. We waited and from May to this October that we went for this increment. Then the fuel price has gone up to about 42%, of which if we were supposed to increase our fare, we should have increased it by four times. Even from the time we had this 19% that we jumped to 20% up to now, it has been increased again for about 46%, meaning that our 10% threshold, we have exceeded. So nowadays, if the fuel price goes up, then means the transport fares also has to go up, because without that we can't survive. We can't run our business. Then if it happens like that, and maybe if we cannot continue again, then the best way for us to park our vehicles, because we cannot be running at a loss all the time.
All right, so I just need clarity on two things very quickly. So it means this AAS, or automatic adjustment system, that is what you've adopted now as the GPRTU. As the prices change at the pumps, you are also going to be changing your prices. Has this been approved by the GPRTU? And do you have a buy-in from other drivers' unions?
I'm not saying it has been approved, but what I'm saying is that per what is happening now, I think that is the system we also have to adopt now. Because when we got to the 10% threshold, we waited. We didn't increase, thinking that the fuel price will come down. But now we have come to understand that there is no way the fuel prices is going to come down.
Now, Nana Boakye Yadom has joined us with more on what happened in Ashanti region. Nana, thanks for joining us. What's the latest on the situation when drivers were on strike yesterday?
Right. Kojo, good morning, and thank you for having me. So this morning, we came back to the Atabazi Junction in the KEA municipality, where drivers yesterday staged the demonstration concerning the increment hikes in fuel prices. Now, they say that even though they didn't have the MC of the area, Honorable Ibuapia, to send their petition to, they willingly have set a new price and fare for commuters who will be commuting from Atabazi Junction to Abrem Agona, and who will be commuting from Abrem Agona to Elmina, respectively. On the 29th of October, the prices were at 8 cedis and 7 cedis, respectively. That is those who will be commuting from Atabazi Junction to Abrem Agona. The fare was pegged at 7 Ghana cedis. But as of this morning, of yesterday, after they finished their demonstration, they decided to go with 10 Ghana cedis for those who will be traveling between Abrema Agona and Ataba Junction, and 15 Ghana cedis from Elmina to Abrema Agona. I had a chat with some of the leadership of the driver unions, and they told me that even though the new fare hasn't officially been approved by the GPRTU, they are of the view that even if their executives get to know that they have willingly increased the prices, they will start with them. They cited the fact that recently a gallon of fuel was sold at 82 Ghana cedis, and today it's more than that. So they feel it is the need for them to also increase the fare to match up to their expenditure.
Okay, so this is what drivers are doing to cope with the situation. Grateful, Kojo Amwesi, for joining us there. So that's a reaction from what happened in the KEA yesterday, when drivers also grounded their cars in protest of the high fuel prices. So that has been how some drivers have been reacting to the increment in fuel prices in the country. They have unilaterally started increasing their fares. So today, when you're going to join a public transport, be sure to get, them giving you new prices from what you know. Now, let's go on Zoom now and get an update on what is also happening elsewhere in the country. Thanks for joining us. What's happening in your area? Okay, we'll try and get him now. Do we have him now? Okay. So if you can hear me, what's the situation in your area where you are? What can you report?
So over here at Efijase, drivers here at Efijase station are on route. They are demonstrating, and then their issue is that government has increased the fuel prices up to the stage where they cannot bear anymore. It has really increased to the extent where passengers cannot even use vehicles anymore. They can't go to their workplaces anymore because of the high increase in fuel prices and then high increase in fare prices. Reporting from Efijase here, drivers were on the streets of Efijase protesting seriously against the increment in fuel and diesel prices. At Efijase, the district chief executive officer came over to ensure calm. But then even when he came, the drivers were still not at peace. They still demanded a 20% increment. But then the district chief executive officer assured them of government intervention. In as much as government is willing to intervene, the drivers also decided not to call off the strike or the demonstration should government not do anything about it within the shortest possible time.
Okay.
So as at now at Efijase, drivers are even complaining that they are not even moving their vehicles at all. They are not moving their vehicles at all as at now. So at Efijase right now, drivers are still not at peace. They are still demonstrating. It's a 3-day demonstration. And then for now, they are not moving their vehicles. And the passengers are really, really stranded over there at Efijase.
Wow, that's an interesting development there. Thank you so much, Nana, for this update. So in Efijase, you still have cars that have been grounded. Nobody is moving. Passengers are stranded. That's the sorry situation in that area. Now, we scare our buyers with our new prices, says Kumasi coffin and casket producers. Coffin and casket manufacturers at Asafo in Kumasi are lamenting the high cost of raw industrial materials. The producers say they are frustrated over the high prices of significant materials like fillers, nails, pine, saw, and fabrics to line coffins. The extra expenditure in production is pushing the manufacturers to increase the prices of casket to stay in business. Clinton Yeboah has more in this report.
The economic changes of the country has had a toll on almost every aspect of Ghanaian lives and almost every aspect of Ghanaian businesses. Today's conversation features manufacturers of coffins. How has the economic changes affected their life?
With inflation rising high, coupled with fuel and utility tariff increases, local businesses stand on the death toll of the economic crisis. Japia, who has about 30 years of experience in the production of caskets and coffin, says he is compelled to increase prices of his products.
Now, a Juma no first and a Jumano, and just a net, and that a Jumana and a blah, yeah, Jumanigu. She said, no money boy, yes, I had and then he says, see, I
was an apprentice in 1992, but now I run my own business. The fabric we used to decorate the casket I bought for 200 cedis on Friday. I was told today to pay 240 cedis. I couldn't buy, so I had to come home to solicit the remaining. Things are expensive. I would also not sell them at a reduced price. All manufacturers here have come to a consensus to increase and stick to one price, latest by next week.
The new crowd, the other 15 million, but they say, Obama farm 28 million.
Marvin Kwame, who has been in the business for 3 years, says patrons are complaining about the new prices.
nyama bua koso e be say we say na 1 cedi you see 3 cedis we say we top one na 6 cedis you say that call 14 cedis we say fella we say
our work has become affected.
na 80 cedis
I used to buy this flyer at 20 Ghana cedis. Currently, I buy it at 250 I used to finish 2 coffins a day. Buyers keep complaining because we scared them with the price. Starting next week, the price of coffins will increase.
Other producers like Akwisia Mwakoyeboa, who has been in the casket manufacturing business for 25 years, says he's recording low patronage due to the new prices. He has called for the government's support and intervention, especially in their access to wood.
With a
high increase in materials, we have also increased our 1.9 number 2.4.
Adebia Bekobia, double. 100%. Yeah, 100 and a dose of my Diana Cockra will be taught. But then no one meton Cramsuniska or Banusu, but no one over Tona, and Ma Dipana over Tono, who has our tenso. But then no man was out here. First of all, 1 city, and then I'm 2 city. First of all, 10 million, and I'm 20 million, and 2 poor, 2 mornings. And many pounds. Yes, I want to me yet.
Clinton Yabua's report for JoyNews.
Now, the Food and Drugs Authority says all importers of finished pharmaceutical product can now lose their product unless they pass rigorous quality control tests before being allowed onto the Ghanaian market. Again, all imported glycerin and propylene glycol raw materials should be accompanied by a certificate of analysis. This is to ensure the product do not contain abnormal levels of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, which have claimed 60 to 99 children in the Gambia and Indonesia, respectively. These were contained in a statement issued by Ghana's Food and Drugs Authority. So how has the FDA been allowing importation of such product in the past? And what specific product will be affected? Mr. Samuel Asante Boateng is Director of Drugs and Herbal Medicines Registration Directorate of the FDA, and he joins us on Zoom with some answers. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. When you say finished pharmaceutical product, what specific product are we looking at?
Yes. Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners, viewers. Yes, when we talk about finished pharmaceutical products, just like we did in the release, we are saying that finished pharmaceutical products that are ready for use in treatment of ailments. And we are saying that those ones that contains glycerin and propylene glycol should actually have certificate of analysis that shows the safety of the ingredient that has actually been used in formulating the finished product. Now, when we talk about finished product, we realize that we have what we call the active pharmaceutical ingredient, which actually gives the pharmacological activity of the product. Now, before this comes together, we have what we call inactive ingredients that are added to aid the functionality of the active ingredient that is in there. Now, we are saying that because of recent happenings and alerts that we have received, we are saying that we need to be more vigilant, proactive. We should not wait for such product to come onto our market before we start acting. And so it's a proactive measure to make sure that we phase out these products which become substandard based on the inactive ingredients.
But finished pharmaceutical product are a lot. If someone is watching now, how will he or she know what sort of product he should be looking out for? What sort of product are we talking about? Is it paracetamol? What is it really?
Yeah, so we wanted to be, our activity is going to cover broadly a lot of formulations. Now, for us, we know formulations that actually contain these inactive ingredients. Like you have just mentioned, paracetamol syrup is one of them. Okay. And most of our cough syrups also contains them. And therefore, by taking this measure, we are ensuring that all these pharmaceutical products that will either be manufactured locally or be imported from outside the country should conform with all these directives. So we are talking about liquid formulations that actually has these inactive ingredients that has actually been identified to be containing this diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, and this has to be released before its use. Generally, the system is such that we call something good manufacturing practice. And the laws are that once ingredients are imported into the country, we need to first ascertain its quality before it goes into the manufacturing process for the finished product to come out. And so this we do already. Now the products that we have been alerted that has substandard, has become substandard because of the presence of these impurities are not on our market, and we don't have any such manufacturer in our database. But this is a precautionary measure that we are taking, that we don't wait until it passes through an illegal route or supply chain onto our market. And so that is why we want to be proactive, and we are acting as such.
I know we have the Pharmacy Council. How have they also been involved in this to ensure that all of you and all of the state, all of us are aligned in one line?
Yes, we work in collaboration in a lot of areas. Now, the Pharmacy Council actually regulates the practice of pharmacy. And we are saying that if we have an importer who certainly will be a wholesaler registered with the Pharmacy Council, they should conform or comply with this directive. Now, once they conform or comply, it means that the product that they are bringing into the country to distribute to the general public will be of a very good quality and cannot be deemed as a substandard medication. So we are working hand in hand to ensure that nobody buys anything that is wrapped in any black polythene, but then they buy from legitimate and licensed wholesalers and importers as well.
Okay. All right. I'm grateful to you that you found time to join us here on our news. And that's Samuel Asante-Boateng, he's Director of Drugs and Herbal Medicines Registration Directorate of the FDA. But how are pharmacy or pharmaceutical companies reacting to this particular directive? Farm Harrison Abutiate is the chairman of the National Pharmacy Chamber, and he has also joined us with more. Thank you so much, sir. How are your members reacting to this directive by the FDA? Grateful to you that you could join us, sir. How are your members reacting to this directive by the FDA?
Well, I think it's proper and they've accepted it. So those who are importers have been informed about what they should do before they could import those items that the FDA is talking about. That's the diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol.
Once they've been informed, what is that mechanism put in place to ensure that they are obeying the directive?
Well, I think the FDA has said it, that if you import any of those items, first you must have the documents that support the analysis, and if you don't, this will be done at the port of entry, and you have to pay for the analysis, and then before they are accepted in. But you see, these products can cause problems if they are not properly used, like all other pharmaceuticals. And some of them are degraded in the body, they absorb and degraded in the body, and they pass through the liver and the kidneys, and some of those products that are broken down can damage the kidneys and also the liver. So we have to be careful. They've been used as sweetening agents, sweetness, because the taste is nice. So some of the manufacturers mix them in cough syrups and painkiller syrups, just to avoid using more expensive products for making the syrups.
Okay. All right.
And when this happens, obviously, you have a lot of side effects, and especially the children who don't have well-developed organs, they can accumulate there and destroy the kidney, and they go through all the processes of side effects, nausea, vomiting, pain. And,
all right. Farm Harrison Abutiate, I'm grateful that you could join us. He is chairman of the National Chamber of Pharmacy. Moving on to other stories. The National Media Commission says it is unable to publicly condemn attacks on journalists because of the Commission's mediation role in such matters. The Commission says the lack of interest of some journalists in continuing matters brought before the NMC also contribute to the NMC's inability to resolve such matters completely. Chairman of the Commission, Yao Bwedu Ayeboafo, raised the concerns at the launch of a journalist support fund and a commemoration of the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists on Wednesday.
The event was held to raise at least 2 million Ghana cedis to support journalists who face any form of abuse in the line of duty and to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the United Nations Plan of Action on the Safety of Journalists. Commented on why the Commission barely speak on these attacks, Mr. Ayeboafo in his address said publicly condemning the attacks on journalists will put the Commission in a compromised position.
Sometimes when things happen, the expectation from some people is that the Commission will just rush and come and condemn. Yeah, but there are other parties also involved, and sometimes if you do that and the matter comes before you, you disable yourself from objectively looking at the facts of the matter. Now, the additional thing is sometimes the unwillingness of some of our journalists to even complain or make a report to the National Media Commission. And sometimes we have been pleading. The Executive Secretary is around. There has been a particular incident for which we wrote to those individuals involved to brief us, because this is a country of the rule of law. We cannot take any action on impunity, because you cannot fight impunity with impunity. And so you request for information, and this is denied. Now, in the face of denial of information that enables people to make considered and objective judgment, it becomes very, very difficult to deal with some of these matters.
GGA President Albert Kobna-Jomfo also urged the government and other stakeholders to work hard to reclaim Ghana's position on the World Press Freedom Ranking.
The combined effect of the spate of attacks against and rampant arrest of journalists as though they were criminals, as well as the backsliding of Ghana in the World Press Freedom Index, send worrying signals, especially to international media watchers who still regard Ghana as a reference point for press freedom and democracy in Africa. Ghana must now be seen to be working hard to reclaim a position on the World Press Freedom Index. We must not and dare not fall further behind in the league table of free media systems in Africa and the world.
Meanwhile, the Center of Awareness Global Mission, owners of Kwa Herbal Center and the Ghana Police Service have donated 500,000 Ghana cedis and 20,000 Ghana cedis to support the fund.
I wish to commend the leadership of the Ghana Journalists Association for prioritizing the welfare of journalists and establishing the Journalist Support Fund to provide the needed assistance to journalists where they need it most. The police service is happy. At this time, we are in a haste to mention that we are making a token donation of 20,000, our contribution to the fund. It is our prayer that the fund grows bigger over time, so that whenever it matters most, any journalist who requires assistance will be able to access the same.
The International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists was inaugurated on 2nd November 2013 by UNESCO to create awareness on violence against journalists. For JoyNews, James Kwesi Aveji and Esther Nkrumah's report read to you.
Meanwhile, Justice of the Supreme Court, His Lordship Justice Yoni Kolendi, has observed that impunity for crimes against journalists is a result of the degeneration of social values, ethics, and indiscipline. He also added that zero tolerance for corruption and violence will help strengthen the foundation of the media industry to enable media practitioners to serve without living in fear. Now, most hospitals in Ghana do not have support for hearing and speech impaired people. In most cases, there are no sign language translators on standby to aid the hearing and speech impaired patient in accessing healthcare. This has prevented many from visiting health facilities because they cannot effectively communicate their ailment to health professionals, and the health professionals cannot also communicate their expert directions to them. Fortunately, some students from the Computer Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have developed an app called SignTalk, which seeks to solve this problem. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with the developers Dankwa Kwabena Daku Menu and Anajiman. Yeah.
SignTalk seeks to solve the problem by being a first step initiative to bring the hearing and speech impaired community back into society by bridging the deeply rooted communication gap. It does this by providing features that allow speech to sign language translation and sign language to speech translation.
Now you realize that in our society here in Ghana, there is a stigmatization of the deaf and the mute community. That's led to the isolation of these people from society in general. Now this as a result of this communication gap that exists between this group and society in general. Mainly because the deaf and the mute community, or deaf and mute people, communicate via sign language, and then the rest of us communicate via speech. Now, most of us really don't know sign language and are not motivated to learn sign language because these people, that's the deaf and the mute, are generally isolated from society. So no one knows any deaf or mute person that they would learn the sign language and communicate with, and therefore they are not motivated to learn it at all. This is the landing page of the SignTalk website, and then it has two main views, the doctor view and the patient view. So when you go, if you're a doctor, you select the doctor button, and then it takes you to the doctor view. If you're a patient, you select the patient button, and then it takes you to the patient view. So let's start with the doctor. Now, the doctor taps on the doctor button, and then it takes the doctor to the login page where the doctor has to sign in first before they are allowed to utilize SignTalk. Okay, so I have an account created already, so I just tap on the login. Right. Now, SignTalk has some of the features of, for example, video conferencing apps like Zoom embedded in it. Right. So it demands access to, or demands a device that has a camera to take the video of the person signing, or for the doctor to see the person on their computer, right? So he has to give access to the camera of the device, so he has to allow it. Once they allow it, the camera feed is displayed on the site. Now this is the doctor view. Now the patient, on the patient page too, the patient must allow access to their computer's camera, and then they too can see a video feed of themselves, right? Okay. Now, to start the translation from sign language to allow that, as part of the protocols of the app, the doctor must start a meeting first. So it's like Zoom, where there's a primary person that starts the meeting and then other people join, right? So because the doctor has signed in, he can create a meeting by tapping on the start meeting button. Once he does that, a meeting ID is generated for the meeting, and then it can copy that and send that to the patients for the patient piece. So we copy this button, this meeting ID. Now, if the patient wants to join the meeting, they have to enter their name and then the doctor ID. That is the meeting ID that doctor got, right? So we will do that. Let's do an arrangement. Okay. Yes, and then they enter the doctor ID and they select start call, right? Okay. Now, immediately they do the start call, the doctor receives the video feed from the patient, and then the patient will receive the doctor's video feed displayed on their view as well. And then you can see that the doctor's name has been displayed here, okay? And then the patient's name too has been displayed on the doctor view. All right. Now, to demonstrate the speech to sign language, right? So if the doctor says, and there's a button for the speech, that's when you are using it in Chrome. But the doctor types, "How are you doing?" and then sends it to the patient. You see, on the patient's view, a video will be showed of what the doctor typed, so that they know exactly what the doctor is saying in sign. So when I do to paint, yes, it's detected it.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
This is the News Desk on the JoyNews channel. We'll take a quick break. We will be back with business. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, has expressed worry about funding challenges hampering the fight against climate change. According to him, countries that contribute less to global emissions are made to pay for the effects amidst difficult economic times. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Country Climate and Development Report is a detailed analysis of the risks, effects and opportunities climate change presents to Ghana. The report is expected to fuel conversations about how Ghana can tap into these opportunities. Speaking at the launch of the report, the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, expressed worry about the inadequacy of resources in the fight against climate change. This, he says, has led to the unfortunate situation where under-resourced countries which contribute the least to global CO2 emissions are being made to pay for its effects.
This period. So we are at a very crucial point in which those who have contributed least to this scourge that we are facing are going to have to be responsible to pay for it, and we are the least able to. Fortunately, there seems to be a certain level of acknowledgement moving us from mitigation into adaptation, which is what we need, the resources, and for that.
The World Bank Country Director for Ghana, Pierre Laporte, affirmed the World Bank's commitment to supporting Ghana's fight against climate change. According to him, funding of climate actions has become a challenge not only in Ghana but across the world in recent times.
Yes, we will, at the World Bank Group now, climate is at the heart of our thinking in terms of financing. So we are required in every project to make sure that as much as possible we bring in the climate dimension so that we can influence the financing and the activities that we do in this project. Look, like every country, one can always do more, no? I mean, we must recognize that climate change is not totally a new problematic, but it's been, it's become at the forefront as a challenge more recently, and countries like Ghana have taken time to really get to grasp with the realities of this.
Speaking on the importance of the involvement of private sector in fighting climate change, Senior Country Manager at the International Finance Corporation at the World Bank, Carl Kilofa, said, though there is a lot of interest from the private sector, there is also the challenge of mobilizing funds to support this cause. He added that a proactive implementation of the transition policy will support energy and agri sectors.
And the challenge is how to mobilize private sector savings, private sector capital. There's a wealth of interest out there through green instruments or blue instruments, or as here in Ghana, and green bonds, and so how to leverage that to help address these issues. But two, a lot of the sectors being impacted are largely our private sector, whether it's the fisheries, whether it's the agricultural sector, whether it's the power sector, and how to help those businesses to transition.
The Ghana Country Climate and Development Report explores ways Ghana can pursue its development objectives while considering the challenges of climate change and the opportunities from the transition. While climate change cannot be solved by any single country, local actions can help manage physical and transitional risks as well as bring large opportunities.
Now, the Chimakoma Rural Bank is enforcing stringent risk management practices to mitigate the negative impact of the unfavorable economic environment. This includes strengthening the background checks of clients when lending. Chief Executive Samuel Bonsu-Setre says to remain profitable, the bank's business advisory team is working hard to help customers thrive. Nanaya Ojima has more.
Achimakwauma Rural Bank closed the 2021 financial year with profit before tax of over 7 million cedis, paying shareholders good dividends. Though the bank is in good standing, the present economic challenges pose a threat. To keep the bank in profitability, its lending policies are being strengthened with checks on expenditure. CEO Samuel Bonsu-Setre reveals staff are being trained to adapt to the enhanced business strategies.
We are anticipating that the negative economic environment can have an impact on our revenues. So we have already started putting in measures to cut our expenditure so that we'll make the most of whatever we get. And again, I mentioned that we deal with customers who have been loyal over the years. We know their business and they know us. And so when we give money to them, we are confident that we can retrieve those monies. We are not in a position to just deal with, sorry to say, anybody at all. We are very careful because there are so many challenges around. So as we are working on growing our figures, our risk management strategies help us to mitigate the challenges that come with operating as a bank.
The bank, through its business advisory services, is also ensuring clients in the small and medium enterprises stay afloat. Already, measures are in place to expand services to the Central Business District of Kumasi.
We have lots of customers within the Central Business District, and the challenge they have is the distance from the CBD to our nearest branches. And so we want to bridge that gap. That's why we want to set up within the Central Business District, so we get closer to our customers. And then we'll reach out to other prospective customers who we've spoken to, but because we don't have a presence, they are unwilling to work with us. Yes, so now we hope that when we finally get off with the branch, we'll rope in more customers.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
And that's business. There's more coming up after this break. Do stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now, a year after the most thrilling annual gospel concert was held virtually, Adom Praise is back with a mega ministration that will see all from far and wide convene to worship. This year's edition comes with a twist. Rather than the one-day show, the experience has been transformed into a two-day festival with a combination of worship, praises, prayers, and prophetic declarations. Joining me in the studio is Programs Manager for Adom, Joshua Tigo, with details. Joshua, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Blaise. How are you?
I'm good. So what should we expect for tomorrow?
Okay, so tomorrow people should come to the Perez Dome expecting anointing, expecting a thrilling performance, expecting just more than a praise festival.
I mean, you are bringing Travis Green.
Exactly.
It makes it, you know, a little different or different from what we did last year.
Yeah.
When we come, let us understand how it's going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
At the Dome.
Okay. So, this is what is going to this is what is going to happen tomorrow. We would give our patrons a moment that maybe they haven't had in about 2 or 3 years because of COVID.
Okay.
You know that Adom Praise has always been a statement festival, gospel festival. In the past, we've always headlined it with foreign artists. COVID has not made it possible for us to do so in the last 2 or so years. And so we want to come back big, and that is why we are bringing in Travis. Let me also add that we've suffered criticism from some segment of the Christian community, especially from our friends in the SDA faith, who have said that we haven't featured a lot of their artists. Okay. So this year, I am glad to say that Makenim, a seasoned SDA gospel, is going to be on the bill. So yes, people should expect more than just a praise. We're going to give them the kind of experience that any gospel festival has to offer tomorrow.
Interesting. Last time someone called me from Takwa and wanted to come. He wanted to know how to get a ticket, and I told him, well, when he comes to Joy FM, he would definitely get it.
Exactly. So we are partnering FNB Bank, First National Bank. If you go to any of their outlets or any of their branches across the country, you should be able to get a ticket. But we also do know that times are hard, so you don't want people to incur costs traveling all the way to a branch somewhere to go and purchase tickets. So we've made it possible for people to purchase tickets using a Momo merchant number. If you permit me, I'll put it 0245 293599. It's a First National Bank merchant number 0245 293599. And let me add that the tickets are running out. And so if you want to be part of this experience, you want to meet Travis Green tomorrow, you need to hurry and get your ticket. As I'm talking to you now, the first batch of his team landed last night. And Travis himself will land at 2 p.m. at the Kotoka International Airport this afternoon.
Beautiful.
And would engage him. I'm sure the viewers would have a bit of him before tomorrow.
Interesting. So with that number, we'll put it across later. But I hear that there will be prophetic declarations.
There would be. I mean, we have all the big pastors that you can think of that our radio pastors in-house are going to be present. And so, yes, there will be prophetic declarations. I'm not going to put too much of the details here because these are spiritual things, and I don't think that I'm the best person to.
So the merchant line is on the screen now.
Yes.
Whoever is watching and would want to buy a ticket, kindly get the numbers on the screen now so that you don't have to move anywhere technology-wise. So just call them and then transact the business with them. It's a merchant line, so you won't pay any other charge buying the ticket.
That's true.
All right. So if I don't come, what will I be missing?
You'll be missing a lot. You'll be missing. Okay, so let me say that there is no better time to have this kind of festival, this kind of experience than today, because times are hard. We know the economy is hard. We know that global conditions are making things very difficult for us. I mean, no one is excluded. But we also do know that in times like this, that is when God comes to our aid. They say that when praises go up, His glory comes down. If you want something that can help change your life, it is the time to be part of this praise.
I don't praise.
Ye be Him.
Good. So that's it. We'll take a quick break. We'll bring you sports afterwards.